Live talking to you from an 80-degree California, Bakersfield. I understand you folks in Iowa are having a little snow today and a little cold temperatures. I'm sorry, but it is April, and keep in mind that it won't last long no matter what happens. I'm trying to see if I can cover that up back there. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we do it this way. We'll go this way. There we go. Alrighty. So we're here to talk a little bit about the preview from UConn. We all know about UConn women's basketball. They're perennial national champ. I think they're like in their 28th Final Four overall. And so we know what they can do. We also know that they are, what do you want to say? UConn has 7 players, possibly All-American type players playing. Hi, Chick-fil-A. Good to see you here. Okay. So anyhow, let's just talk about, well, first of all, let's go about talk about a little bit about Caitlin and the award that she received today before we go on. Okay. She got her second consecutive Naismith Award. She's the first player to do that since Brianna Stewart apparently got 3 consecutive awards in 2014, 2015, and 2016, from what I can tell. And so that's good. I'm going to try to arrange my notes so I don't feel like I'm looking right at you guys. Just give me a second. So I'm looking away from you guys. I want to look right at you guys. And so let's do that. Let's make this so I'm looking at you guys and not the paper. All right. Okay. So anyway, Cece's points are up to 32 points a game. She has 9 assists a game, and both of those, she's number 1 in both categories. And so, she led the Big Ten in scoring and assists for 4 consecutive seasons now. No other men or women have done that. And I'm not surprised about the men because any man that was leading, you know what I mean, was leading in those categories probably left early for the NBA. Okay. But that's a good feat for the women because they're forced to stay in college for 4 years. Okay. So Caitlin's got many national player awards, right? She's picked up the Naismith, the ESPN.com, the Athletic, the Sporting News, all those players of the year. And I'm sure she's got more coming. First team All-American from the AP. First team All-American USBWA. Big Ten Player of the Year. First team All Big Ten. Big Ten Player of the Year. Oh, yeah, I said that already, didn't I? Okay. She was also the Big Ten Player of the Week 11 times. Okay. How cool is that for her? Okay. But anyway, I just want to say the game against UConn will be at 8:30 Central Time on Friday. There's a free watch party at Carver Hawkeye Arena if you guys want to go. I probably would go if I was living back there. My only regret of living out here in California during this thing is I didn't get in all the fun this year in the state of Iowa, with supposedly both Iowa and Iowa State women's team performing so well and looking so good. All the excitement that was going on. Okay. But let's talk about a little about UConn. I believe they are 33-5. They lead the series with Iowa 6-3. I thought that's even better than I thought Iowa was doing. UConn is 7-1 on neutral floors. UConn's path to get to the game with Iowa in the Final Four was they beat Jackson State, Syracuse, number 6, number 7 Duke, and number 1 USC. Believe it or not, this is Iowa's 3rd number 1 seed, guys. 3rd number 1 in the tournament. The other 2 were, one was in the 80s and one was in the 90s. Kate Martin is 15. She has a career high of 15 plus points in 17 games this year. That's a plus for her. And guys, I don't believe we are where we are this year without Martin, the glue. We all know it's kind of a funny joke that she was nicknamed Glue by Bluter, and it's stuck, and she's adopted that name. Have you guys seen her latest commercial for Estella's Tacos? She calls herself the glue in that one at the very end. You have to watch it. It's really good. It's a really good video, and it kind of like takes on her role as she likes to coach people, and encourage them. And that's what she's doing in the commercial. She takes on that. She comes in, helps everybody out, encourages them, kind of bosses them around a little bit, and then she has the bag in her hand to give to a customer, and it won't come up because she said because of the glue or something like that. Okay. But yeah, I don't think Iowa get as far as they did without Martin. I mean, I'm just looking at what a role player that she has been this year for this team. If she had decided not to come back, I don't think we're there. I really don't, because I don't know who else would have been the person to calm everybody down and be the coach on the floor, be the encourager, and be the person who, when she has to get in somebody's face, to do all that. I don't know who on the team would have done that besides Caitlin. And honestly, I think Kate Martin's job this year was probably to, kind of hold Caitlin back a little bit, from getting overly excited, get that attitude. And by the way, I thought the last two games that she played better under control, better with her emotions not being so crazy. During the last two games, like Virginia Tech, I just thought, man, that's a side of Caitlin we have not seen all year. We know that she can get emotional. We know that she talks to the refs. We know that she can talk to the players and get mad a little bit, but she took that to another whole level, which is fine. That's her. But she played the last two games under control, not letting everything work itself up, And so I thought that was pretty good, unlike her predecessor, who we found, Angel Reese, who, by the way, declared for the WNBA today. Actually, she declared a few days before the Iowa game, but they didn't release a video until today because her sponsor wanted to be a part of it, part of the announcement. So Vogue magazine, I believe. Okay. But anyway, enough about that. But did you notice that Angel got mad at her teammates, right? She got mad at her teammates. She would yell at them. She screamed a couple times, "Get me the ball." And I'm sure in the huddle was, a swear word or two went with it, yelling and screaming at him. Haley Van Lith, who did have trouble guarding Caitlin most of the night, couldn't handle it. But one time she threw the ball away, and Angel went and got in her face and over it, and the coach slapped her own head over it. So yeah, I just felt like I was feeling good about the game, even though it was far from being decided yet. Just because I felt like the LSU players were starting to turn on each other a little bit, and it just seemed like they were turning on each other. And once you can get a team to turn on each other and yell at each other like that and start blaming each other, you got them. You got them where you want them. And Iowa played, relaxed, focused. They had a great game plan, which was to run LSU, the Dickens out of LSU. And we found out that they got some tired legs there at the end, and they couldn't keep up with Iowa. So all those good things. But anyway, let's go back to talking about the game. And so, alrighty. Okay, and so and did you know that Martin and Clark together have started 137 consecutive games together? Isn't that an impressive stat? And I know they're roommates, and I don't know much else about that situation, but Iowa is 5-0 when Kate Martin gets a double-double. So if Kate Martin gets a double-double, we're probably 6-0. And moving on to the national title game. Okay, and among the active players who didn't transfer, Gabby Marshall is number 3rd on the scoring list, not scoring list, but wins list, with 128 wins during her career. And Kate Martin has 125 wins, and which is 4th on the list during her career among players who did not transfer. Okay. Since Molly went out, Sydney Fulter is 30 of 53 9 for 15 from the 3-point line and 25 of 28 from the free throw line. She hits her. I don't mind when she goes to the free throw line because I feel like she's going to nail them every time. Here's a stat that's kind of interesting. Hannah Stokey in the last 7 games has gone 29 and 40 at the free throw line. You guys all know that she struggles with her free throws, but from what I understand, she's been working hard at trying to correct that, and it looks like she's correcting that. How great is that? And if you go back 7 games, they've already played 4 games in the NCAA. I think they played 3 games in the Big Ten tournaments. All that was done in tournament. She's done all that the last 7 games in tournament play, and so congratulations, Hannah, for turning around your free throw shooting. It's good. The one thing I think with Hannah too that I think everybody notices, and it's not to me meant to be a put down, but something for her to work on is sometimes it seems like she misses an easy lay-in, and I think sometimes that's due to because I think she's expecting to get bumped or fouled, so she's putting it up there thinking she's going to get bumped or fouled, and she doesn't. So then it comes down, and sometimes it's a rebound to the other team. Sometimes she gets her own miss. But I think that's what it is. That's just something, though, but she's a sophomore. She can work on that, and I think that would be fantastic for her to continue to work on over the summer. And, and speaking of which, after we get this done, I want to write this down. I want to talk to you guys about what I think about next year, who we think was going to start next year. Okay. We can actually say the same thing with the men because they've lost quite a few players too this year. Okay. So, anyhow, let's just compare some notes here. Okay. UConn scored 79.9 points a game compared to Iowa's 91.9. Their opponents, they're giving up 56.8 point a game. UConn is, but Iowa's giving up 71.5. And honestly, I think during tournament play, Iowa's done probably a little better than that. Okay. Both teams are shooting 50% field goal. Excellent shooting. Well, teams are struggling a little more against UConn than they are Iowa. It's 35% shooting for the opponents against UConn and 39% against Iowa for their opponents. Okay. 3-point shooting. Wow. This is kind of nice. There's 271 for 745 shots for 36% shooting percentage at the 3 line. Iowa's 38% on 410 versus 1,084 attempts. Okay, and so crazy is that stat. Rebounds. UConn gets 38 rebounds a game. Their opponents get 41 though, and Iowa gets 41 rebounds a game, almost 42. Their opponents get 32, and Iowa gives up 34 rebounds to their opponents. Assist is 19.6 a game for UConn. Iowa's is 21.2. Both teams limit their other team's assists to UConn 11.7, and Iowa 14.7. Okay. Turnovers. This is where we need to work on this a little bit. So UConn has given up about 13 turnovers a game. Iowa's also given up about 13, about 14 a game actually. But both teams are forcing more turnovers than they're creating, but not by much. There's 10 steals for a game for, this is crazy, 10 steals per game for UConn and 7.5 for Iowa. But Iowa's also given up 7.3 steals a game. Okay. Block shots, 3.9 for UConn, 3.4 for Iowa. And both of them are out blocking their opponents. Okay, you guys all know about Paige Beckers. She's scoring 22 points a game. 3-point shooting is 42%. 3-point, and she scored 81 points at the line this year. This says she's got 53 blocks, which to me seems like a lot for a point guard. And she has an assist, 147 assists, 56 steals, which also seems like a lot, and 56 turnovers on the season. Okay. The only, I mean, there's a lot of notable, decent players on this team. And so I think Iowa matches up well with them. But we got Aaliyah Edwards, who scores 17.6 a game, and she has 333 rebounds a game and 35 block shots. So it seems like I must have got my information wrong. I don't think there's any way Paige Beckers has 53 block shots and Aaliyah Edwards only has 35. I must have got something mixed up. Okay. The third member of this team who we should be looking out for is Ashlyn Shade. She's shot 175 3-pointers at a 36% clip. She's 11.2 points a game. She has 54 assists, 35 steals, and 38 turnovers. And I know that they're only because of injuries and stuff. They're only using 7 players in their rotation. So I think 2 of the ones I was able to come up with that look like they are AZ Fudd. She doesn't appear to be playing because she's only played in very few games this year, unless she just now started playing. AZ Fudd. Okay, then there's KK Arnold, 8.8 points a game, and Nika Mule, 6.8. I didn't write down anybody else on the team because everybody else was insignificant, and it was really hard to find out who the 7 that are currently they're rotating, but who it is. So I didn't want to give any stats out there. In case you're curious, we already know that Clark averages now 32 points a game. That 41-point game boosted her average. She shoots 38% from the 3-point line. What did we say? Paige Beckers shoots from 42%. So Paige is not shooting as many 3-pointers as Caitlin, but Caitlin is not shooting, but she's shooting more, but her percentage is lower. Honestly, I'm thinking Clark shooting 38% from the 3-point line is pretty darn good because I didn't think it was even that good. Because you guys know she misses more than she makes. So she has 334 assists. What did we say? Paige had 147. So comparative there, Caitlin's way ahead of there. And turnover, Caitlin has 177 compared to Paige's 56. So if you want to compare, stat lines by each other's star players, I would say overall it goes to Clark stats wise. I don't even know why her coach said that the stats will bear out that Paige Beckers is the number 1 player, women's player, because and the stats don't bear that out, but the stats do bear out that Paige Beckers is a pretty darn good player, and so we'll give her that. Okay, but okay, just for giggles and stuff. Iowa's supporting role players. Hannah Stokey with 13.8. I think they're going to have to build the team around her next year. Between her and Addison O'Grady, Addison might get into the starting lineup with Hannah both in there next year. I don't know if they'll do that. I think it depends on if they're able to get a post player in the transfer portal that they're happy with. But we're going to talk about that. But anyhow. Kate is 13.1. Falter is 8.3. Molly Davis is 6.1, and Gabby is 6.1. All the other girls, you guys have seen them all. We all know what they can do. They just don't have a lot of stats because they don't have a lot of playing time. And so, but one of the things I want to do is just kind of go over a little bit about who we think is going to start that game and everything. I mean, not the game, but I mean next year. And so I'm kind of winding down a little bit. So let's just talk a little bit about for next year. I feel like Hannah Stokey and Sydney Falter both are for sure in the starting lineup. I think they've secured that already for next year. But who else? Okay, does Addie O'Grady get in there? I mean, Addie O'Grady doesn't score a lot of points, but boy, she showed that she could play tenacious defense like she did on Angel Reese, right? Okay, so that's not bad. She's showing a little moxie, so maybe she gets in the starting rota. Does Kylie Feuerbach get in? To the starting lineup? Does Taylor McCabe make the starting lineup? Or do some of these girls actually go in the transfer portal and leave seeking more playing time? But I mean, this is wide open. We need to replace four starters for next year. Okay. I mean, and that was including Molly Davis, but I think we've already know who one of those starters is that's going to replace Molly, and that'd be Sydney Falter. And by the way, I don't know if you guys seen the video walking around, but it looks like Molly's doing pretty well working out. She doesn't look like she's any worse for the wear, but maybe sitting her out this last weekend was a precautionary measure. I'm hoping that we can see a little bit of her. I wouldn't expect her to play full time, but I could see her giving minutes to both a Falter and Caitlin. And so Caitlin not forced to play 40 minutes, especially what is that game on Sunday, the championship game on Sunday around noonish, so or something like that. So they would have to have not a full 48 hours, but they'd have about 36 hours between games. And so we'll see how that works out. But I'm just trying to think, or does on the post player, was it Ava Hayden? I think it's a post player coming in next year. Does she play? Is she able to come in and make a difference her freshman year? I mean, we know that Hannah Stokey came in and made a huge impression her freshman year. Everybody after her first freshman year knew that she's going to be a special player. She's just going to get better and better her last two seasons at Iowa. It might be another WNBA draft pick there. All right, so then we got 2 point guards coming in. Will they be good enough to take over the point? Just like Caitlin took over the point her freshman year from Kathleen Doyle, who in her own right was a pretty solid player herself. Okay. And so do we have a freshman there, or do we go in the transfer portal? Okay, according to Brad Heinrichs, Iowa is in talks with trying to convince a well-known point guard, a woman's point guard, to come and at least visit in Iowa before she makes a final decision. But you know what? First of all, they can't come visit Iowa until Iowa's season is done because Iowa's not at home to show her around. So I don't know who that would be. I have no idea who that would be. Who the well-known. So it's supposed to be a well-known point guard, and that's according to Brad Heinrichs. And I wish Tyler Coover hadn't interrupted. Sorry about that. Hadn't interrupted Brad in that interview because we might have gotten more information on who it is and an idea about who it was. So water refresh is good. Okay. So I'm not getting any comments, but you guys can leave the comments after the show's over if you want. To. But anyway, do I think that Iowa goes in the portal? I mean, I think they will if they can get the right girl to fit the right culture. Like for one, I would have been all for bringing Haley Van Lith in. If she was wanting to get away from LSU and wanting to get out of what I considered a toxic environment. She's a better player than what she showed against Iowa, and she deserved more playing time than what she got against. Even though she was a starter, than she got it with LSU. But and honestly, she won't be asked to guard somebody like Caitlin Clark again. I don't, unless it's Juju Watkins, who's coming into the Big Ten next year. Boy, that's going to be an interesting game. Can't wait for that. I hope that game takes place here in California so I can go watch it. But other than that, um, what do you guys think? Haley Van Lith possibly coming? We don't even know. I mean, the thing is she could declare for the draft too, or she has a chance to come back for one more year. She hasn't announced what she's going to do yet, at least not that I'm aware of. And yet, I believe April 1st was the deadline to declare for the WNBA. And so she probably knows what she's going to do already. I assume that she's coming back, but she'll probably end up in the transfer portal again. Maybe, but then again, she'd probably be forced to sit out because I don't think transferring again would be. Well, anyway, doesn't matter. She's not coming. She won't come. She doesn't fit the Iowa culture, especially after the way she got mouthy in the interview at the end of the game. And by the way, everybody says that they were feeling sorry for themselves. They were making themselves out to be victims. I didn't see it that way. I thought all three people were very gracious toward Iowa, including their coach, in their post-game interviews and in the handshake line that looked like everything was copacetic. So I don't see it the way you guys see it, to be totally honest. The way some of you guys have seen it. I do know that both, was it Flono J. Johnson, whatever her name is, Flonase. I'll just call her Flonase Johnson because I can't remember her name. And Haley went to bat for Angel, and that's fine. Everybody thinks they're all lying about it, but they both got kind of mouthy, in defending Angel. And that's fine. You can do that. It's your teammate. I expect you to stand up for your teammates. All right. And that's just the way it is. Okay. You should stick up for your teammates. Okay. Let's move on to a little bit of men's news. Okay. All right. We've got Peyton Sanford declaring for the NBA draft. It says he hasn't hired an agent, so he's going to retain his college eligibility. I thought they all had agents these days. I didn't realize that was still a thing, that you couldn't hire an agent. So that confuses me a little bit, but I would suspect right now in the mock draft, he's number 35, which puts him early second round. But to be totally honest, I don't know if he's ready for the NBA. He might be. I'm not a scout. I just know what I see on the floor. I know he has the potential to be really great player, and I would hope that he would come back and lead this team next year to Iowa. And and in my personal opinion, I fully expect to see him back in an Iowa uniform next year. And he kind of said earlier that he would be back in an Iowa uniform next year. And I would think that he already thought he was leading for the NBA to try it out. And, we had a lot of other players do it. Garza did it. The Murray brothers did it. Who else did it? I forget. There's a couple of more under Fran that have tried it. I think Fran encourages them to give it a shot, see what they got to do, and then come back and work on those parts of their game. And I think that can only make those guys better. It can only help make Iowa better, okay? You guys already know that Bowen's leaving and PMAC is leaving. And PMAC is not leaving people just because you all think he's tired of playing for his dad. He's leaving to get a fresh start. He's leaving because, I'm sure that has a lot to do with a lot of the negativity he's taken, a lot of negativity that his dad has taken for playing him. Especially for what this guy's gone through in his career. This guy has taken a beating, and I just don't understand Iowa fans turning on their own like they do. We should all be getting behind PMAC and say, good luck at your next location. I hope you find what you're looking for. I hope you get that fresh start you want. But I'm thoroughly convinced if the fans haven't been they've been trashing um, Coach McCaffrey all year, been trashing PMAC all year, and to go after an individual player and trash them the way the Hawkeye fans do. I sometimes wonder if I even want to be a Hawkeye fan anymore, or should I just be a silent fan and just not say nothing? Because it really bothers me the way we treat people. Okay, then you got Tony Perkins. He's narrowed his choices down to 6 schools. All 6 schools are noteworthy schools. He's going, including Indiana. I hope he doesn't become an Indiana Hoosier. That's the one that stuck out. I don't remember the others. I think Mississippi State was the one, and I think Texas Tech was another. All those schools are not slouches. And so I just don't want him to go into Indiana because I don't want to have to play against him. But people are saying, and people in the know, some new news media people, that he's not leaving Iowa because of Fran. He's not leaving Iowa because of his teammates. He loves Iowa, wants to be there, and actually did try earlier in the season to see if he could get some NIL money to stay. That's all he's leaving for, is he wants a piece of the pie. He's leaving for money, and Iowa basketball does not have the money to even bring in, even a big name player. We can't afford a big name player. We don't have them, and we didn't even have enough money to retain Perkins. So that's why Perkins is leaving. That's what I was told by news media people that I trust. And so, it's sad. It's sad that the Swarm can't come up with some money. 80%, from what I understand, 80% of the donation goes to football, 10 to men's basketball, and 10 to women's basketball. Wrestling's out there fighting for their own money. And so, been a rough go for these guys. I just afraid that we're going to be an also-ran men's basketball team. And I hate to say that. I don't know where we're going to be at next year if Peyton doesn't come back, because right now this team, for me, exceeded expectations with 19 wins. Or was it 18 wins? It might have been 18. It might 19. 19 or 18. It doesn't matter. The thing is, this team exceeded expectations for me, the men's team this year, because I honestly thought they'd be closer to 500 or under 500. And I mean, in 19-15 is not a great record. But they came in, one of those 5 games that they should have won in the middle of the season. They could have been a 20-win season. If they win all 5 of those games, that moves them up to 24 wins, and 24 wins is among some of the highest winnings that Iowa men's basketball has done. I don't think if Iowa has 24 wins on the season, I don't think anybody's complaining about McCaffrey. I don't think anybody's complaining about PMAC, and even Perkins. People jumping all over Perkins at the end of the season. Perkins played, and honestly, I think he knew, a few games with a few games left in the season that he was leaving. And I just think just didn't seem like his heart was in the game the way we know Tony can play. We know that Tony could play 20 points a game, draw fouls, and shoot free throws all day long. He didn't play like that. Okay, he didn't play like that the last few games. Okay, and so I really don't have much else to say, guys. I just wanted to try to keep this a little bit. I don't have any football news right now. They're keeping everything under wraps, and I think Kirk is enjoying that quietness because no news coming out of the football program, and everybody focusing their attention on Caitlin Clark. He's probably a happy camper because he doesn't have to worry about anything. And of course, by this time last year, we had several new transfer portal guys in the fold, and so I don't know what's going to happen there. But I think what we're going to do once the women end their season, which will be this weekend, either this game or the following game. One of those 2 games are going to end their season, so they got 1 or 2 more games left. We're going to start doing a football preview show. We're going to go over, the current quarterbacks in the roster and who's coming. We're going to go over the running backs and who's coming. Who we have and what we talk about. And we're just going to go on and do that position by position. I'm going to have the help of Kelvin Fisher, who's keeping track of all that stuff for me and making good notes. We'll start doing that. I kind of want to wait now. I was going to start doing it this week, but I'd rather wait until after the Final Four is over, so we can spend more time talking about the Iowa women. And so I would say, if Iowa cannot find a way to beat Paige Beckers and the UConn team on Friday, then we'll probably podcast Sunday or Monday. If they do and they get to the championship game, we'll podcast again for sure on Monday. And try to sneak a podcast in there. And either way, win or lose, we will do a final podcast on those guys, the ladies, okay? And any other news that may come up between now and then in any of the other sports. Just to let you guys know, I know that there's probably nobody with wrestling fan listening right now, but maybe there's some casual wrestling fans. Iowa has 4 going into the transfer portal. All of them have not started for Iowa in any position, but they have wrestled unattached this year in some tournaments and stuff, these guys. And so I have to go back and get that name, and next podcast I'll get those names for you, who's transferred. We already talked about who was coming back in a previous podcast, so we'll just let that go. So, guys, I want to thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Please subscribe, make sure you're hitting the like button, subscribe, throw out a comment even after the show's over when it's not live. Throw a comment out. I'll come back and read it and stuff. And so I just want to thank the few people that did pop in and out during the show. You can always comment when you do pop in the future. You can always comment live. I know I didn't do a good job of promoting this episode, and so there's probably going to be low views because I didn't promote it. But I just have company here, and I just wanted to get going on it, and so I just didn't want to waste any more time. So anyhow, thank you. We'll see you later. See you, and good luck, Hawks. Go Hawks, and hopefully we're talking about a national championship come Sunday.